Hello, everybody. Very sorry about that long start there. Okay. I'm here now. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Bit of a late start today. Okay. What are we going to do? Well, in front of me, I've got my lovely DRM1 MKIII. I made a video about this on my YouTube channel, so if you're interested in hearing it in detail, I go through each of the drum voices in turn. But what we're going to do today, I thought might be quite interesting. Something I've been thinking about for a while, and let's have a little look here. I have got the OPZ plugged in, and that is actually coming out via USB and into the RetroKits RK005. This is a brilliant little gadget. I love RetroKits. My entire studio is all different zones in the studio are powered by RetroKits. Highly recommended for. They're just amazing. My favorite company for MIDI solutions, because they can do stuff like this. This is particularly great with an OPZ. With an OP1. If you've got an OP1 and want to sort of like use it with your other synths and stuff, but you don't want to have it connected to the computer, then this acts as a USB host. So you can kind of get it into your MIDI world and also power it. And there's a gate on there as well. So it's a super little tool. But in this case, we're using it to host the OPZ. The OPZ can host its own MIDI, I think. It's a weird one, the OPZ, because the OPZ actually has also a built-in audio interface. We're not using the audio interface today, though. We're just simply going to be using the DRM1 MKIII. But before we go any further, I just want to talk a little bit about the show, my show. This is so I do 2 shows in a week. These at the moment, Monday night I've got my Eurorack show, which goes out quite late in the UK, 10:30 p.m. And then my Wednesday night show, which is a little bit of a mixed bag, really, between looking at sort of random pieces of gear, some new gear and maybe some old gear, and also guests on the show. I haven't had a guest for a few weeks, but I'm absolutely delighted to tell you that next week the rather magnificent Kim Bjorn will be joining me. Yes, Kim's got a new book out. It's called Patch and Tweak with Moog. I'm sure many of you will be aware of these books already, but if you're not, really worth checking out. I'm loving this at the moment. This has become my Bible. Patch and Tweak. This one is exploring modular synthesis. So, and it's full of interviews, explanations. It's superb. Anyway, that came out, I think, a couple of years ago. And Kim has followed it up with Patch and Tweak with Moog, which is all about, as you can imagine, patching Moog synthesizers. So what we're going to do next week is we're going to do Patch and Tweak with Moog live. So we're going to have some Moog synthesizers set up, and we're going to go through some of Kim's patches. So make sure you join us next week. I'm really excited about that. I think that is super cool. Anyway, yes. Okay, so back to what we're doing tonight. Now, here is the caveat. The caveat is I haven't actually done this before. So we'll be making it up as we go along. Now, there's a reason why I wanted to do that. Let me just change the camera over so you can see what's going on. It's because the sequencer in the OPZ is fabulous. It is absolutely fabulous. I mean, the OPZ is quite a divisive product in a way. This funny little thing. It looks like an old remote control, and in ways you can use it like a remote control as well, which I like. These flat encoders, which people think, how on earth can you use them? But the reality is, the travel on them is super silky smooth, and it really is quite lovely to use. It's a surprise. I mean, anyway, that if you're interested in that and don't know about that, I made a review of this a couple of years ago with Nick Batt. It's a 2-parter, such as how much stuff is packed into this little thing. It's a funny review though, because Nick just, as it goes on, he just doesn't like it.
And I think the more I try to show things, I think the less he likes it.
So I think this kind of thing is a bit of an odd one. What I will say about this, though, is it does have a Bluetooth. It is a Bluetooth device, and when it's not connected, in fact, let's just disconnect it for now. And it is like this. You can use it as a Bluetooth sequencer to your computer. And it's something I meant to do ages ago. Perhaps I will do it someday. But I've set it up where I've had all 16 sequencers. Because there's 16 separate sequences in here, all of them addressing different VSTs on my computer. And then this really peculiar thing, it's an experience unlike any other. You can sit there in your chair, away from the computer, maybe with the headphones on, selecting tracks and sequencing them, all from here. But all of the sound coming and all of the software VSTs coming from your computer. Or into the MIDI world and coming from your hardware synths. And then it's sort of people who kind of go, oh, it's just like an expensive remote control. You kind of go, as you're sitting back in your chair, you go, yeah, it is an expensive remote control. But what remote control can do this? Yeah, it's a funny one, though. It is a funny one. And it is a bit obscure in that there's no screen. You can connect it. There's a little button on the bottom here, and you can connect it to a phone or an iPad. And actually, just off screen, I have in fact got that here. And if I just switch over here to this, you can, as I change tracks here, for instance, kick, snare, percussion, sample, so then the little thing that doesn't have a screen actually has a massive screen. So it's kind of cool. But I'm going to leave the iPad off the screen for now. Maybe I should have that coming in. Not sure. Okay, let me just move on though. But yeah, right. Let's plug in then. So we're going to we're going to map the tracks, and yeah, I'm trying to decide how to do this, because we can do this in two ways. I could map each track to a different sequencer track. I think that would be good, but I think I'll do that second. First though, what I'll do is I'll map them all to the same track. Because I can put multiple steps on, even though it looks like it's just a kick track. It doesn't actually have to be that, as we'll see now, because this is, in a sense, just going to be a little MIDI sequencer. Okay, so I choose the kick track. Okay, and then make sure the volume's down. I'm going to power down the DRM, hold the kick, and holding the kick trigger. Fire up the DRM, still holding that down, and then I'm going to send it a note. Yeah, there we go. And now the little LED, you probably can't quite see that, just above my finger, is flicking. And that kind of shows that I've managed to map that particular note to that track. So I'll just quickly go up through every track on here now. Drum 1. Next one here. Yep. Drum 2. Next one. Yep. Multi. So drum 1 and drum 2, that's where you do your toms, I guess, or congas or things. Holding down multi is your cowbell, really. Well, I'll go through the sounds next, actually, because they're really lush. Okay, snare over here. We're on track 5. Yep. Hi-hat 1. Oh, I realised I made a mistake here. I'm going to have to do the hi-hat again. Here's a quirk of the DRM, is that right. Can you see? I don't know if you can see both of those. Hi-hats need two. Oops, there it goes. Hi-hats need two MIDI notes. one for closed and one for open. Even though it says there's 2 hi-hat channels here, both can have a closed and open state. So what I need to do is actually need to count up. So I'll go 5 to the snare, and then instead of putting a hi-hat there, I'll put the hi-hat 2 up instead. So I'll just skip one over, and we'll see now. I think that's right. Let's power that down. Hi-hat, power it up. 1, 5. There. Trigger that now. There, great. So actually, so the notes of D and the notes of E are both triggering hi-hat 1. So actually, closed and open. I will turn the sound on in a moment. It's just because I'm be popping this on and off. That's why I've got the sound off for now. There, power that down. Hold in hi-hat 2. In same thing again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's my 2 hi-hats. And then I'll do the same thing here. Give the hi-hat there. Okay, cool. Play that. Yep. Those 2 notes are both triggering hi-hats. And then finally, clap. Where did I get to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hi-hat 1, hi-hat 2, clap. Okay, good. All right. Hope that wasn't too awful for you. But you see, it's actually pretty quick, and it's quite a simple, elegant way to map it, really. Grand. Okay, the big reveal is the sound. Let's get the sound up. Okay, here we go. Right, so I'll do it from the triggers. So a trigger. Snare. It's interesting. Some of these mappings, I don't know why. Some of these mappings have kind of lost some of these mappings. The kick. Drum 1 is okay. Drum 2 I need to do again. Multi is there. Snare is there. Hi-hat 1 isn't there. Hi-hat 2 is. And clap is. Okay. So, not quite sure what that is, but we will just map that again. I'm going to knock the volume down while I do that. Yeah, don't know. Hold kick. Here. Trigger. Yeah, it looks like a trigger in. There we go. Okay, that's our kick. And now we need our drum 2. Same thing again. Power that down. Doof. Live MIDI mapping, hey? Who would have thought it? Okay, those. I wonder why it didn't keep those. Okay, so I've just got to just map hi-hat 2. So again, just to reiterate, when you map it, you have to map the higher note for the hi-hat. So sometimes, and then the closed hat is 2 notes down. So you're essentially mapping the open hat. Just a little quirk. There we go. So it's E. Oh, which one? It was hi-hat 1, wasn't it? Yep. 2. Trigger. Okay. All right. Look at that. Okay, they're all triggering now. Clap. Okay, great. Not sure what happened then. That was peculiar. Great. Right. So, what I'm going to do then is I'll put something in, like a little beat. Let's just get the sound. We'll get the sounds up first. Then we'll get a little beat up, and then I'll start applying some of these step components. So that's the term. That's the jargon that we need for the OPZ to add some step components in. If you just look just above my finger, just above these buttons, there are tiny little weeny little icons. Those little icons tell us what the different step components can do. Okay, so like that could be, for instance, there's one with 2 dots there that creates like a trigger. I'll go over them. They're all interesting, and the interesting thing is, and this is where this sequencer kind of surpasses even the Electron ones for parameter locking in some respects, and that is because you can just keep stacking on different ones all on top of the same step. So each step can have multiple step components assigned to it. Right. Okay, just checking in with everybody. Great, lovely big chat room there. Great to see all our friends coming in again. Hope everyone's well. I mean, it's a bizarre time, isn't it? But we're not going to talk about the reality. We keep ourselves ensconced in a music technology bubble. Well, at least I do. Or else my sanity would just be like Marmite on the motorway. Right, let's get this show on the road. So yeah, I'm going to trigger. Okay, that kick is already quite lovely. All analog, all lovely. Now it is a stereo device, and we are coming just out of this straight into the video recorder. There is no there's no effects or anything tonight, so it's just going to be pure raw DRM decay. I think this is such a fun sounding drum synth. I've made some other videos about it. I've tried to do one where I tried to see if I could get it, the 808 or rather the Behringer RD8 with it. Layering those two really does sound very good, but it also just shows how different they sound from each other. And you know, I couldn't really get 808 sounds out of the DRM. I mean, you can get it somewhere near there, but it's got a lot of character of its own, and I think that actually makes it a much more interesting instrument. Okay, so our drum one, well, they sound pretty weedy at the moment, but these are quite versatile. I'll put some panning on them between the two so we can hear. It is a bit of a shame that you can't address these with CV, because these I'd like to be able to play tunes of them. Okay, now bend, you know, crucial part of any drum programming is the bend. So it'll be like a pitch drop, and this center notched on these two, so to the right, and it'll drop to where the pitch knob is set. Without. It's great. Attack puts just like a little needle on the front. You can hear that. And then, this is where things get interesting with these two drums, is we've got FM. So, FM intensity, FM frequency. So, and then we got like a wave shaper at the end, like distorting. So these two synth voices are identical. Oh well, not at the moment, but I could essentially dial exactly the same sound in. Well, except this is one of the lovely things about this. You can't quite. I think one of the things I really like about the DRM is you've got so many parameters, and everybody who uses it is gonna have a pretty bespoke, original drum sound every single time. There's just way too many variables for anyone to have exactly the same sound. But there is a definite tone and tonality and character about the DRM, though, as we'll see. It's just got a super satisfying tone about it, hasn't it? Now, we're on to the multi. Now, this is a funny one. Yeah, apologies for people who've watched my video doing this. I do feel like I'm going over it again, but it is quite a joyful thing to play around with. So multi, yeah, we can do our kind of cowbells here. And the way it does this is it's got 3 different pitched oscillators. Again, it's got an attack, which is one of those kind of like needles to, and a bend. Not the most realistic cowbell. You see, it'll sound more cowbelly if you... There's a high pass at the end. Doesn't really do an awful lot, but... Well, let's see if we... Again, no CV controls of this stuff. How nice are these, you know? So the master pitch will tune all of them up, and then the other two oscillators, so I'm essentially controlling pitch of oscillator 1, and then oscillator 2 and 3 are kind of relative to wherever that is set. But really, you want to get quite atonal, clangy kind of sounds. It's so cool though, isn't it? I mean, you know, considering this is the cowbell channel, the cowbell track, you know. We'll just leave it do that for now. Okay, and now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present one of the DRM's greatest features is its lovely, lovely snare. Okay. Essentially comprises of two components mostly. One, which is like, it says like reverb, and then you've got reverb decay, and it's a weird reverb because it's not really reverb at all. It's some sort of envelope. I'm not quite sure how it works, but you've also got noise, and then you've got the noise decay. Another needle attack as well. Which is, you see that on virtually, I think everything, I think there is some sort of attack, and not the clap. But also, where are we now? Snare. We have got a resonant filter as well. And that it's just brilliant, isn't it? I mean, it's just... I think why I love it is it doesn't sound like an acoustic drum kit. It sounds like an electronic drum kit. And there's no shame in that whatsoever. But it sounds... Okay, the hi-hats. Now, the hi-hats are a bit of a peculiar one. So I mentioned here, they take up 2 notes. As you can see how it can choke then. Now it's got a bit filter. Okay, what we got on here? Decay. I typically like really super short hi-hats, like with like nothing on there at all. So that filter, low pass, sorry, high pass filter, bit of bend, bit of attack, turning the resonance down. And then the mix is quite cool because you can see what the hi-hat comprises of, which is like, this is the kind of noise part, and then there's like a kind of tuned oscillator part as well. So that's, you can hear that pitch control there changing that part of it. I know that changes the noise as well, so not entirely sure what's going on, but yeah, okay, so that's hi-hat 2. Okay, and then finally, one of the other great features of the DRM is its lovely clap. It's a juicy, beautiful thing. Again, you've got this kind of pseudo reverb. There it is, I'll crank it. The actual parameter clap is kind of like separates out the clap sounds. Like it's a bit tighter. A bit of a looser, flappier clap over there. Then a noise component without. And then a resonant filter. And then a high pass as well. As with the high pass that you find in a multi as well, the high pass is quite subtle. And then you may have noticed on the end here, we've got pan controls and level controls for each drum. And another of the wonderful, wonderful features is that each drum you can patch out independently as well. And these are TRS jacks on here, which facilitate super cool thing. Put a mono jack in and you just take it out of the main out. You take the kick, plug it into a distortion pedal, and then have to plug it into another channel on your mixer. Or if you've got like a Y-shape insert cable, stereo jack split, you can insert each one of these acts as an insert, returning its drum sound into the main mix. Whew, that is super cool. It is really super cool. It's kind of like a simple device. Doesn't do much other than just, hosting 8 analog synth voices, but it's lovely. All right then. Oh, yeah. Nice to see a big chat room. Just checking in with everybody. Hope everyone's good. That is cool. Right then. I think we're going to move back on now to the sequencing aspect now. Okay. So you can step sequence, or you can play it in, and I think I'm going to play something in. So I'll just turn up a metronome, and let me just remember how to do that. Metronome. Oh yes, so just play the metronome. Level. Oh. Where's the sound? What did I say earlier? I didn't wire the sound in. Okay, so we don't have a metronome. So what I'll do is I'll do some step sequencing first, then, and then play some live things in once we've got something in to, so the last thing I've played, I can then just put those then in. That's right. If I put in a hi-hats. Okay. Yeah, we need a bit of swing on that, don't we? More swing. Yeah. Okay. That's going to get too much, but this is where our... Let's get those hi-hat levels down a bit there. That's brilliant, that sound, but that's going to do your head in a little loop. So this is where things... This is where we're going to start to put in trig components. So our steps... I can see an error already. You can see why now you might want to do this onto separate tracks. I think I definitely will move on to doing that in a moment. But each step is going to contain... So you got Trig Preview there, which has just come out in the latest Electron Analogue finally, which is the ability to just hear what's on a trig. So just press and hold, and then you can hear. Yeah. So when you hold a trig down, you can now apply. Sorry, that's what sets. That's what puts it. I did that wrong. Okay, let's just do that again. Yeah. Yeah, when you hold a trig down, I could apply. See, I could put a kick on there now. And actually, I want a kick and a hi-hat, don't I? So I'll press both at the same time. Yeah. I think. Okay. All right. Oh, I did that on the wrong step. Like a wally. Okay. I think I managed to sometimes just put people off these things, but I don't mean to. Okay. Once you start putting the trig conditions in, then step components. Sorry, my mistake. Once you put step components in, then you can make lots of stuff happen. Right, so let's do that. I'm just trying to remember how to do it. I think it's with shift, is it? And I go on my step. I hold my step down, and then I hold shift, and then no, it's not. Oh, balls! Hang on. I'm just gonna try to remember. Is a CV out on this unit? Do you know what? That's a very good question from the chat room there. You can see these funny, like, kind of like Lego looking things there. If you take off the back panel, actually, which I probably could do. There's a bit of an Easter egg, this is. You remove the back panel, and then inside, there's a little chamber. And inside the little chamber, oops, something fell. Well, inside the little chamber, firstly, there is the battery, which is simple and easy to replace. And I'm fairly sure it's fairly standard. And then the other thing that you find is there's this little kind of thing here. Take that out, and then you've got an expansion slot. And there's some different kind of cartridges that can go in there. One of which has got MIDI on mini jacks and a CV and a gate. Can go in there. And another one that I'd really like to try, it's quite a curious one, is there's a little rumble pack. A little bit like what you'll find in games consoles to give you a bit of feedback. And you can get a little rumble pack. So when you're doing it and you've got your headphones on, it's just giving you a little buzz. People have used it. Says it's surprising how much like alive it makes it feel. But anyway, what comes as standard though is a little thing like this. Those things are in there, like, and then you have to pop them out like an old Airfix kit or something. And what these little things are. Flip that back. Let's just chuck it back together again. I don't like these rubber screws very much, though. They do feel like they're not going to last. But yeah, what these little things are. I think maybe this is a bit of a spoiler for some people, but because it's quite fun to discover. But you pop them in there, and voila. Let me grab one if I've got one near here. Oh, yeah. Phone. It's a phone screen. So your screen then, I could be... well, actually, why? Let's do that. Let's do that. I'm going to get rid of it off the OPZ. I'm going to... I'll show you the pairing process, actually. Jackie the cat. I don't like using my phone just because it's I've not really thought about doing this, so okay. All right, so on the screen it says push, so hit this little scan button. I hit the little rubber button on the back here. There it is. I push the button I think I might need, it may still be paired to the, yeah, I think it's still paired to the iPad. Let me just turn my iPad off. Oops, I'll turn its Bluetooth off. Okay. There it is. That's the old Bluetooth thing. Okay, great. So you can then stand that up on there, and then you kind of go, oh, those crafty teenagers. There is one downside though, is you do need to push these buttons sometimes, and you can't with that. You have to slide it a little bit off the screen. But anyway, yeah, so you can see that the controls, I can whiz through things here. So you can actually get to the guide, which could be quite useful for these step conditions. So I'll just quickly flick into that, actually, into the guide. And then I guess it's just with your fingers. But I'm just going to quickly flick onto trig conditions. No, step components, just to remind myself how to do it. Sorry about this. I've made you, what have I made you do tonight? I've made you wait, first of all, for the show, then do some MIDI mapping. Now you're watching man with beard read manual. There we go. Is that what you is this what life has come to? Yes, I'm going to try and promote next week's show, the one that Kim, the Patch and Tweak Live. So please, if you can help me let people know, that I'd really appreciate that, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Kim he's a terrific guy. So I think there'll be some really interesting stories as well. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for teenage engineering. They're so into the fashion and style of things. They've kind of favoured like this pale grey text, which isn't the most legible, I have to be honest. There's so many cool things in the OPZ. It's deep. It's so deep. There is gazillions of things to discover. But also, that's almost a weak thing about, not a weak thing. No, it's a weak thing in me. There's a lot to know, and there's a lot to forget. Alrighty, this is the bit I was gonna where? Oh my goodness. That's the iPad would have been better for that. Okay, but basically, here we go. You can see these symbols on here represent the symbols coming across here. Like double dot, oops. Pulse, and then you can say how many. You use the buttons then to program. You can have up to 9 kind of repeats of that, and or random amount, and then pulse hold. Now these things, one adds it in like ratcheting, so the beats will still fall, or so adds beats. I'll show this in a moment. So you've got multiply, velocity, ramp up and ramp down. Now those are really good for pitching. You can sort of have things pitch around, portamento, sweep, tonality. And then down the bottom here, parameter spark, component spark, and trigger spark. And that lets you, whatever component that you've put in there, you can say that will only happen, once every 3 bars, on the 4th bar, on the 5th bar, the 6th bar, etc. So you can choose where they can happen. So that's why when you start stacking these things up, you can make, incredibly complex sequences. Okay, step components, using step components. Yeah, shift, press and hold shift and select the steps you wish. Yeah, so it's one of these things. I've got a few devices that work like this, where if you press the step first and then like the shift is different from pressing the shift and then the steps. Oops, let's have that back. again, you learn this, don't you? I mean, and this is kind of showing that I haven't really been messing around with this much. I have, but oh my goodness, it's just gear galore in my life, so it's hard to keep up with these things. Okay, so I'm going, I go shift, I select my step. Now, the step is flashing green, and now I can choose to add. So if I add, say, for instance, then this one, which is the first step, I did it wrong again. You hold the step. No, you hold shift and then the step. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, God, look at that. It's flashing green. That's what we want. I add this, and then I choose how many, and the numbers are lit up now. Yes, so this is going to add 4. So if I play, it'll go. Okay, we're rocking and rolling. Here we go. Right, so remembering the thing, I hold down shift. Holding shift and select the component you wish to add. I think as well you can hold multiple steps and apply conditions. Let's try that actually. So hold shift and I'm going to push 3 of them. Actually, I'm only managed to press 2 of them. They're both flashing green. So I'll add that and I'll add 7 on that one. Let's have a listen now. So because this is adding rather than like ratcheting, typically the beats are falling and the ratcheting will happen, but the beats will still fall. What these are doing is adding. Now this becomes interesting because if you think about that, if you then choose like I was just mentioning with the spark components, that it'll only happen once every 3 bars at the end of the 3rd bar. It'll extend that then. Will mean that the 3rd bar will just extend by those notes that you've just added. So if you've got multiple tracks going on, they're all going to be going out of sequence, which is really interesting, really. Oh, something's going on. I can hear sirens are wailing. Okay, so let's add a few more of these ones. Now, I mentioned that other one next to it, which is called, in here, let's have a look. Pulse hold. That's more like your more like your typical ratcheting steps. I'll show you that now. It's weird, isn't it? What's on that step? All right, okay, that's there, okay. So shift. See, I'm having a bit of a bad hair day with this today. Right, okay. I'm going to put that in now, and I'll put. Let's try it. Right, okay, let's do that again. So shift, hold it down. Oh, there we go. I'm going to say it's a multiplier of 3. Okay. Sounded like 2, didn't it? Let's see. Shift. Pick the step. It seems like sometimes it doesn't seem to be responding to me. I pick that. Let's try putting 7 there instead. Oh, do you know what? That is a hold, isn't it? Let me put the multiply step in. of course, I'm being a bit of a wally. I was just holding that, so that was that was sustaining. But because it's a drum, that's a bit pointless. So of course, if that was like a melodic note, you can put notes to hold. I'm being a bit stupid. Let me just do that with the 2 instead. So I go Shift. I'm going to pick that one again, and I've turned that off, and I've turned that one on instead. And let's put a 5 on there, for instance. All right. Yes. Okay. So sorry. So it's the multiplier, which is more like the typical ratchet. So yeah. So you can see what the hold does. The pulse will do multiple pulses that will extend the thing on. Hold will also extend the thing on, but like sustain it. And then multiply won't change the pattern length, but just kind of create those ratcheting steps. Okay. Okay, so I'll keep moving through these. This is a stupid pattern, but maybe once there's enough things on there, it'll start to do things, cool things. Right. Yeah, like velocity. Well, so the next one is velocity. So that little snare roll, we'll just put a quick little velocity sort of ramp on that as well. So Shift, pick that one. I'm going to add that velocity ramp. Might be a bit too quick, but we'll see. Yeah. You can definitely hear that instead of it being it sounds a lot nicer now with that on there. Okay, so the next one's pitch up and down. And you may think, ooh, could you pitch those toms? You can't. We're just simply sending triggers to the DRM, but it is velocity. It is responding to velocity. If you are interested in getting a DRM1, it comes in a few different versions. Primarily either the standard MIDI one like this, or there's one where it's got trigger inputs for the 8 voices. So the benefit of using triggers obviously is no MIDI lag at all, no MIDI jitter, just really super fast. But of course, there's no velocity. They are just purely gated triggers. So it's a little bit more expensive, and sadly you can't retrofit it. On the back of here, if I tilt this up, you can see where they would be here. Yeah, it's there. So it comes in that form as well, if that's more your thing. And it also comes in a posh version, which has got wood end cheeks and like silver knurled, like almost like Telecaster looking knobs. But yeah, I think it's really cool. It's a very cool. Yeah, it's just so juicy about it. So yes, so I am going to film a little wood end cheeking. I've just ordered them. I couldn't resist, and I'm going to make a video of fitting them on. So that will be another thrill for you all after some tedium I've put you through tonight. Right. Okay, let's keep. How are we doing for time? Okay, not too bad. I can't check. I love this chat room, although when I read it back, it's kind of like it's funny. I realise as well, I'm not putting the chat. The chat is going, isn't it? I need to look into that. If anyone knows how to save the chat with the live chat so people can watch it back, I'd be quite interested. I think I can have it on the screen. That's something to consider. Sort of embedded actually on the screen. I certainly recognise that the chat room is fantastic, and I think it's a bit of a shame for people to miss out on that who don't tune in live. With the posh version, the gate feature has a cast iron lion carved on it. Oh, has it?
I think, is that a joke?
Right, okay, let's get back to this stupid loop. More on these. Ooh. Let's put this a bit harder. That's Tom. It would be just super lush, though, wouldn't it, if there was CV points on every single parameter had a CV point, a CV control on it. Oh well, we can but dream. Saying that though, when I use this, I often play the knobs as it goes down, and yeah, you know, there is a real performance aspect to it, and yeah. I'm looking forward to it being wood cheeked up though. These kind of well, I don't know how long I've had this, about 3 years or something. It's been tormenting me. And the wood end cheeks, they're not particularly cheap. I was thinking, anyway, I got them. Right, okay, let's add some more of these then. So I'm going to avoid pitch because it won't do any difference, because that will just send a... Oh, what am I talking about? On this track, a pitch thing will go through the different drums, won't it? It will actually scan up and down through the drums. So that could give us like a little fill where it just where the kind of pitch rise just goes up through our drums. It'll, yeah, why not try it? Let's put it on that first step then. So I hold down shift, I hit the first step, and I'm going to do a pitch rise. Let's just see now what happens. Nothing. Let's try that again then. First step. Oh, I just turned off that first. Oh no, okay, we're good. Shift, first step. We got that pitch rise. I'm not sure. I'm doing something weird. When I press the buttons, I think you only get one opportunity to put the things in, and then I think you have to redo it if you want to put them in again. Right, push that. Yeah, see, you get like one button press, and then it kind of comes out of that mode. It's probably operator error again. I've got my pitch. I said 4. There we go. Let's try. I'll try making 8. I don't know if it's actually going to work. I thought it might just move up through the MIDI map. It's not. So let's ignore that for a moment. Let's move on to this next one, which is random. It's a random button. What does it actually randomize? I haven't actually used the random one. Let's have a look. And it's so portamento sweep would actually filter up and down using its own synth engine, which we're not going to do. Tonality, oh yeah, tonality is really interesting, and again, something to do with the pitching side of this. But what you can do is you can apply scales that affect all of the melodic tracks, and with the tonality, you can choose whether it ignores the chord progression or different chromatic up, chromatic down, quantize 1, 2, 3. So you can make it do sort of certain steps, and then when you apply that, whether that happens as a randomizer or once every 4 bars or something, will just mean whatever melody you've got going on, you can have the melody either changing those notes, then kind of popping out and sounding kind of out of tune, which could be quite fun if you want to kind of subvert something. Jump. Jump. Yeah, jump is quite an interesting one, because jump to the start, jump. So when it hits a jump command, say jump to the start, it'll jump back to the beginning. Again, well, if I put it in, well, let's see that. We should see that working. If I put that in somewhere halfway. Shift here. Let's find our little jump command there. And then jump wants to be 1. Jump to start. So really our sequence should get to it. See? Jumping back to the start every time it gets to there. What's the point of that? Well, this is where we can add a component spark to that jump, and then in the component spark, the 0 button, if we apply, so 1 to 9, and then 0 typically is always a random. So we'll do that. So shift, and we'll get our jump. So now we're going to go add a random on there. Random. So now nope. That hasn't worked. Well, it may be. Maybe it was just randomizing. It was playing it every time. Okay, I'll try that again. Come on. I guess this is the thing, in it. This is the experience most of us have when we're playing around with music technology stuff. That is always a wrestle between getting fluid and really learning something to that. Well, that learning curve. Again, I'm just trying to reacquaint myself with this. I learned it a lot when I was doing the review of it, and I've come back to it now and again. But to really immerse yourself in it is essential. This is a criticism people often have of Electron devices, in that, especially like the Octatrack, that it's such a confusing workflow. You really need to be on your game with it a lot, and then you come back to it maybe in a few months after having not used it, and it's like, whew, it's not an intuitive machine. It really isn't. There's some, other Electron devices, not so much. I mean, I think, in fact, their new range, their model cycles and their model samples are beautifully intuitive, I think. I think they've really done a really great job of embracing that immediacy. There's still a fair bit of complexity to it as well. But this thing, though, this is another kettle of fish altogether. This thing is all about being a stealth device, I suppose. So all of these step components are, you could get the most ridiculous amounts of stuff going on with it. God, it was a couple of years ago that I did this with Omnisphere, using it as a remote control. Oh, that was right. Yes, of course. So the tonal shift stuff that you do, that, like I was mentioning, one of the steps, the tonal shift, in conjunction with the master track. I made a little video about this, if you are interested, when I was in Las Vegas earlier this year. There is there's a master track on here, and you can put key transpositions in the sequencer, and then you can run the sequencer as a slow divide to what everything else is doing, and then it means that you can have key changes happen at certain points, and it'll transpose all the notes of your sequence into the new key. So that could be new scale and root note as well. So it is a fabulous feature. I definitely should do more videos about that one. Anyway, sorry, I digress yet again. Okay. I'm not sure quite how far I'm going to go with this thing tonight. It's sometimes I get my mojo working and things are good, and sometimes it's not so good. But I'm enjoying this. It is a cool little thing. But more than anything, I'm hoping that everybody's just enjoying hearing this thing again, though. Oops. It is just... If you do the snare and the clap and snare together... Yeah, it's just fat, isn't it? Again, you know, this is just it raw, just going straight into the video recorder. Right, this nonsense. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of that. Jump back to the start for a moment, just because the component. Oh, trigger spark. I think I've got to remember which one's right now. The trigger spark. Reset counter. Oh, I got it wrong. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. There's oh, that's right. Yeah. So you can put a reset in the counter reset. So you can have something happen, say 3 times, and then something happen after 5 times. But then you can put a reset counter. So when it hits that, so if that happens as a random thing, it'll restart that kind of. So it's like a sequence inside a sequence. Just figuring it all out again. Okay, let's just kind of. I quite like it hard. It's a better groove, that one, actually. Just the half of it. Okay. Oh, we see track, select. I've lost my drums. I haven't changed octave. Oh, you see, things like this happen and I fall off the log and it's like, why is it not triggering now? What did I do? I don't think I changed octaves. Let's have a look. Oh, I did. I did. There they are. See, so that's a good example of a lack of visual indicators can get you into trouble. The octave buttons, well, it's a plus and a minus button. You use them for lots of things, but for changing the octave, there's no indicator of which octave you're in, I don't think. Although, as I say, the more you use this, the more you realize there is a language of LEDs. You've got to understand the colors of the LEDs and what the LEDs mean. You know, these black keys, I say, 1 to 0 on them. Any time you need numerical entry, you can use these. Actually, that's quite a cool thing. If I want to put the tempo in at the moment, or even look what the tempo is, if I hold that down, at the back there's a little metronome button. $292. If I put that as 292, that cannot be right. Because you can hold that though and go 120. Okay, so this is our beat at 120 now. Oh, it mustn't have been. It must have been 92. Why was I seeing this? I thought. Right, let's see that again. I'll hold that. Oh, I suppose it's where you 92. Okay. Makes a bit more sense of that tempo. Oh, it's going to drive us mental, that is, isn't it? All right, then. I will take that divider out then. So, shift, select it. Oh, there it is. Hang on, am I holding the shift button down too long? Shift, select, there it is. Turn. Oh, why can't I turn that off? Oh. I don't know. I should have done some practice. Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably going to wrap up in a bit. I'm sorry. I'm a bit discombobulated. I've got to be honest, because my studio, I'm not going to pan the camera around because you would never talk to me again if you saw the mess, because I'm literally up to my waist in stuff as I'm repatching, replugging, doing a whole bunch of things. So just looking around, it's too chaotic for my brain. I'm kind of now, once we're finally out of lockdown, and obviously, please everyone take care through all this. It's horrible, but we can beat this thing somehow. I am in the other end of the studio, the other opposite end. I'm setting up this jamming zone, jam zone, a 2-person jam zone, the head-to-head jam zone. I have mentioned it a little bit before, and actually, if you've seen my Eurorack show, those Euroracks, the rack mod, the rack brutes are set up in the jam zone, but the jam zone is going to be a lot of fun because it's all about a head-to-head. So I've got some guests who are going to be coming here. So once that is a permitted thing, we're going to be doing some live streams of head-to-head jams, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But one of the things I've been trying to figure out in the setup is how to accommodate a guest bringing an instrument. So there's a little bit that I can deconstruct, and so people can bring their own kit in there too, and then synchronize it all up and get into some sort of jamming. I'm really excited about that. And in fact, it was just, everything was going well, and then the second lockdown was announced. It was like, okay, but these things are just, it's a temporary blip in time. I think I'm gonna probably call it a night in the moment now, because I'm sort of programming this, but I'm sort of also a little bit getting it a bit wrong, and but yeah, I'm hoping you can kind of see this kind of the potential of this. If you did spend the time, which I clearly haven't, you can see how it can be a really interesting sequencer. I will return to this though on another time, doing more melodic things, because I think it shines more that way. I think this is okay, and I think this could be brilliant, but it's all that key transpositions and all that kind of stuff is where this thing really kind of takes off and does its own thing. But step components, I was more or less getting through them. Yeah. Leave us with a jam. All right then. All right, I will. And I'm just going to let this stupid loop play and then do something. Okay, let's do it. I can't do this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not quite in the zone there. I'm gonna love you and leave you, folks. Hope you've kind of enjoyed this. Sorry, I will be a bit more prepared. But yeah, next week. Patch and Tweak Live with Kim. You can see clearly I am in need. I'm in need of gurus to point me in the right direction, and so I think this is going to be a lot of fun to do, because God, if anyone is up on his stuff, is dear old Kim. He knows his onions, so that's going to be super cool. I'm going to enjoy that as well, because it's I think one of the things about patching stuff up, and certainly finding this with the Eurorack approach, is that it's just sometimes difficult to know which direction to take it in because it's overwhelming, all the choices that you've got. You can go in so many places. And so, being steered, a little bit of hand-holding, I think, I think is quite an important thing. And I think it's also good to put your hand up and say, help, I don't know what I'm doing. I oscillate from knowing what I'm doing to not knowing what I'm doing, like most people. But, it's, I should have been a little bit more up on this. I'm sorry. It was a little bit flaky, but it's cool. But as I say, just to spend a bit of time with this bad boy. This is going to be Pride of Place in the jam setup. In the jam setup, incidentally, I'm kind of doing it like player 1, player 2, or player A, player B, this kind of thing. And player 1 has access to the modular kind of stuff. Player 2, though, is much more focused on the drum machines. So it's interesting when you try and play together with electronic music, because one person can fill up the entire sonic spectrum. To create space is I think can be quite interesting. When you play in a traditional band, like I'm a bass player is my main job, and I've kind of got my sonic space in the bass department. I mean, I do get up the dusty end maybe a bit too much, but I do have my sonic space. The drums, they have their sonic space. Everything sort of fits together. But when you put electronic stuff together, finding the right spaces for everything, and being sensitive to the other person and kind of clearing out of the way to let what they're doing come through big, and maybe they can clear out the way a little bit to let you come through. So I think it's a very different set of skills from just doing it on your own to doing it together. At Synth Reactor last year in Treppendorf in Germany, the Thomann event that I was at along with a bunch of the others, on the Saturday night we had a party and a band played, and I'm ever so sorry I can't remember their name. If anyone does know their name, is it Strum, or it could be Strum, something like this. Huge apologies. I should know the name of them because they were brilliant. What was particularly good about those guys was they'd been playing together in traditional sort of bands since they were teenagers. A drummer and a bass player. So they've kind of got like an established way of working, and when they play together, one guy's doing the drums and the other guy's doing all the melodies, and that sort of split in jobs really made sense. It was really good. The music was really exciting, and so I can certainly see how that can work. I'm really interested in trying with one of my bands. In fact, we've been threatening to do this for a while. Where we do it all electronically. The drummer moves onto a drum machine, and I move on to synths for the bass, and the guitarist maybe still plays guitar but plays MIDI guitar perhaps, or plays and we all do, and we all kind of jam within our space that we would do in a more traditional sense. I think that kind of stuff is really cool, because a lot of electronic music, it is from the single person mostly, who I call them the mouser, the person in control of the computer. They have way too much power in a democratic musical kind of scenario. But a lot of the time, electronic music, if it goes out live, has been created by one or two people in a studio working really hard, and then everybody has to sort of play the parts that were created, as opposed to pure improvising musicians. That's the thing I'm sort of talking about, and just having the musical wherewithal to know where to be effective, where not to take up the whole space. And I think we're probably all used to going, the whole sonic spectrum is mine, and we're talking. and everything in between. Okay, right. I'm out of here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining me with my little kind of shonky old show. Please consider subscribing if you want to see Man with Beard read manual further and other kind of thrilling adventures. Monday night, I'm going to be back with the Eurorack adventure, and there's another 4 modules that's just gone in today. So anyone who's following that little adventure will probably find that amusing. That I'm trying to keep up with everything. And then, yes, it's a constant running to keep up. Okay, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Great. See you soon. Monday night, 10:30. Back again Wednesday, 8 p.m. But it's especially Wednesday. I'm just going to final thing for this Patch of Twig Live. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.